Hi, everyone. I can't see all of you, but I think you can see me. Welcome to our first ever book club. I am so excited you're all able to join us tonight. Welcome our first club leader, Ingrid Herrera-Yee, who you can see on the screen below. And we're going to be reading The Alchemist, or talking about The Alchemist tonight. Some of you guys have read the book, and some of us are just joining to participate, but we're so glad you're here. We're looking for some great discussions and questions, and we'll also have some announcements throughout. So basically going forward, our hope is to be able to do one of these book clubs at least once a month. We've already got a great lineup all the way through the end of the year to December, and we're so excited that you guys are there first, and we're trying out some new things and testing some new things. So bear with us, and we love your feedback as we go through this to see what works and what we should add. So soon online you're going to see a list of all of those books and the leaders all the way up and through December. And if you're interested in leading a book club as well, moving forward, we would love to have you join. Every month we're going to have that registration up, so feel free to register throughout the month. And again, that list will soon be up, so you'll be able to look going forward what books we're reading, so you'll be able to see what September book is, what October's book is, so you can join us one month and maybe the next month skip it, or hopefully you could join us every month. So be on the lookout for that. Now I'm going to introduce Ingrid here in a moment. What I wanted to do is kind of talk to you about how we're going to work it. So Ingrid's going to start with a brief introduction of the book. Then I'll ask a series of questions, and in the meantime, if you look to your left, there's like a lightning bolt or something. My moderators will correct me if I'm telling you the wrong thing, but there should be a chat box. Feel free to chat throughout the entire thing. Moderators are looking and watching. If you have a discussion point, if you have a question, all that will get piped through to me, and I will be able to directly talk with Ingrid, and I can answer your questions, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of have a lively discussion. And there's also going to be a bit of an extended Q&A at the end of the session, so we look forward to it. And I'm also going to introduce MJ Boyce here, and she's going to tell you a little extra added feature.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, so hello, my name is MJ Boyce. I'm the digital editorial consultant for Military Spouse Magazine. And I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that there is, dun da da da, there is an opportunity to win a book for the next April's book. By the way, all you have to do is tweet a photo of yourself watching the Hangout. Use hashtag MSBookClub on Twitter. And the winner will be announced at the end of the Hangout. And again, you will receive a free copy of the April Book Club book. And we'll tell you what that is at the end. So I really look forward to interacting with you guys.
Awesome. Perfect. I am so thrilled now to introduce you to our book club leader today, our fearless leader who has volunteered to go first. I think many of you know and love her. This is Ingrid Herrera-Yee. Ingrid is, for those of you who don't know, the 2014 National Guard Spouse of the Year. She's a clinical and research psychologist currently working at the National Military Family Association to support military spouses in their pursuit toward becoming mental health professionals. She's an amazing mentor, absolutely amazing woman, and she also started a network for spouses to support these efforts. So Ingrid's work has focused on mental health. She's very passionate about reducing the increasing suicide rate among service members, veterans, and their families. Ingrid is an Army Reserve spouse and the mom of 3 wonderful boys. And in her spare time, she enjoys writing, mentoring, volunteering, and reading. So everybody welcome Ingrid as she goes through an introduction of the book now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that you could make it. Happy to be here. I was a little nervous. This is my first book club, actually. I've read books my whole life and loved them, but this is the first time I'm doing this, so bear with me. So I'll start with a summary of the book, This is a story about an Andalusian, and I actually have spent time in Spain, in Andalusia, so it's kind of a cool book for me. He was a shepherd boy named Santiago who travels from his homeland in Spain, and he travels to the Egyptian desert in search of buried treasure in the pyramids. He has a dream about finding this treasure, and he meets a gypsy woman and an old man, claiming the old man claims to be this mysterious king and advises him to pursue his dream. So he says, to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation in life. And when you want something, the entire universe conspires to help you. And that, when I read this years ago, really struck me, and as actually, as a personal point, has helped me in my journey to where I'm working now, which I totally love. It's like the dream. So Santiago ends up selling his sheep. He travels to Tangiers in Africa after a thief steals his money. So everything goes kind of wrong for him at first. It goes south, as we all kind of, have had those situations as well. He takes a job with a crystal merchant who unwittingly teaches him some pretty good lessons for his long journey ahead. After working at the crystal shop for a year, he earns enough money to sort of cover his losses and just go back home. But that dream, that personal, his personal journey, what he wants to achieve is always sort of beckoning for him. So on a desert caravan, when he decides to actually go after his dream and not give up, he meets an Englishman. And this Englishman's passion for knowledge really intrigues him. And he inspires him to search out the alchemist. This Englishman is searching for the alchemist as well. And in that process, Santiago falls in love with a young woman in the caravan named Fatima. So exposed to that, the greatest and eternal alchemy of all is love. So he thinks that that was his treasure, that he had found it. But the greatest test of all is yet to come. With the help of the alchemist that he does meet as part of that caravan, he completes the last leg of that journey to find the treasure that he was looking for. But it's really in the place that he least expects it, so there's a twist at the end. The story is all about faith, not giving up on your dream, power, and the courage we all have within us to follow our dreams and our destiny. So Santiago shows how along the way we have to learn to trust our hearts, follow our hearts, read the seemingly inconspicuous signs that are out there. Being Latina, we're all about signs. And understand that as we look to fulfill a dream, it looks to find us just the same way if we let it. So it's a really inspiring book, and even if you didn't get to read it, as we talk through the questions that Kate will have now, I'll let you know a little bit more.
Awesome. So we've actually prepared a couple of questions, and then remember, feel free to chime in, add discussion points. I'm going to ask Ingrid a couple of questions, and if there's something that you guys want to share, chime in. I mean, I wish I could do it so that I could hear all of your voices, and we'll probably work on trying to figure that out as we move forward. But for now, I'll be your translator. So here is sort of the first question that kind of came to our minds. We were reading the book, and something that I wanted to talk to Ingrid about. So at the start of the journey, when Santiago asks a gypsy woman to interpret his dream about a treasure in the Egyptian pyramids, she asks for 1/10 of the treasure in return. And when Santiago asks the old man to show him the path to the treasure, the old man requests 1/10 of his flock as a payment. Both payments represent a different price we have to pay to fulfill a dream. However, only one of those is going to yield a true result. So, which payment represents a false hope? I mean, can you think of examples from your own life when you had to give up something to meet a goal? And I mean, I think this is especially pertinent for military spouses, but where you had to give up something to meet a goal and found the price maybe too high.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you think about the old man and the gypsy woman has to have had a belief in his dream to have asked for 1/10 of the treasure when he finds it. The old man wanted sort of an immediate, payback, payoff. Give me, 1/10 of your sheep, and in exchange for information. So it feels like the false hope was the old man, because he had no real connection to the dream other than I'm paying you, pay me for information. Whereas, the gypsy woman asked for no payment and believing in his dream said, but when you get that treasure at the end, when you reach that goal, that dream, then I'll ask you for 1/10 of that treasure. So when I think about my own life, um, when I met my husband and I had to I was in graduate school, I actually had to take an internship, postdoc internship that wasn't exactly a great one. It was APA accredited, but barely.
Yeah.
So it kind of affected the trajectory of my career. And I don't feel like I paid too high of a price, because I love my family, I love my husband and my life. But sometimes I wonder what would have happened, because I had been accepted to actually one of the best, postdocs in the area in Boston where I'm from, and I couldn't accept that one. So it's, sometimes you wonder and you regret things, but for me, it feels like the dream just took sort of a different route. I still made it to the dream. It just wasn't point A to point B. It was like A, B, Z, B, back and forth,
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
until I got to where I had to be. Yeah. So it took a while, but I got here.
I totally relate to that. I mean, I think and I related to it in this story because when I was first married, I had a similar situation as you, although, of course, I wasn't as academically fabulous. I was in television, and I had gotten married, and I had, we had to move, and I had to leave everything and kind of start over. And it's funny because the dream was probably always to sort of be in publishing and writing, but like you said, you go boom, 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 boom. It was a very strange path that I never thought that I would take. So similar, yeah. And at times it felt like the price was a little bit high. It was a real struggle when I was first married. There were a lot of challenges in my marriage because it was like, what the heck am I doing here? And I gave this up, but worked out in the end. At least I hope so. All right, I've got one. I've got one more question, and I'm worried if I butcher the name. I mean, is it the author is? I always say it in my head, and then I'm realizing, oh, I have to say this out loud now. And again, I say Paulo Coelho. Is that right? I don't know if that's
Paulo Coelho.
Coelho. Okay, I love that. Portuguese, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so he once said that alchemy is all about pursuing our spiritual quest. And by the way, guys, if you want to chime in with your stories too, I feel free. So he said that alchemy is all about pursuing our spiritual quest in the physical world as it was given to us. So it is the art of transmuting the reality into something sacred, of mixing the sacred and the profane. With this in mind, and this is a little bit of a tough question, but with this in mind, can you define your personal legend, and at what time in your life were you first able to act on it? What was your beginner's luck? Did anything prevent you from following it to conclusion? And this is a multi questions. And then having read The Alchemist, do you know what inner resources you need to continue the journey? So I don't know if you want to start, with the first question, and then.
Sure. Yep, and I'll move from there.
Yeah.
My personal legend, honestly, has always been mental health needs of our military. I didn't know that until my brother was in the Army, in the first Gulf War. And as a student, I was like, wow, we need to do something. We need to help them. But there was no military track in grad school. Yeah. It wasn't a thing. It's a thing now. And I remember sitting one day in a doctor's office. Weird. I still remember that moment. It was like a flash. I'm watching CNN because the waiting room, that's what they play. And there was a statistic about how there were more of our military service members dying from suicide than in combat. And I was like, because up to that point I was working with civilians, and it kind of sparked it back in me. And I immediately started looking for jobs that had to do with military. Even though I was a military spouse, I was working very much in the civilian world. And I found a job like that, even though I had no experience, just because I was a military spouse, which was great. I had, I had trauma experience, PTSD experience, suicide experience, but not with, trauma survivors, but not specific to military. And that was my beginner's luck, is, boom, like that. And right after that, honestly, I had two instances of it. It was actually when I became the soy for National Guard, because it opened so many doors for me. And it's incredible how much I've been able to do since that point. Things have gone south here and there, but doors are always opening in that direction, which wasn't happening for me in the civilian world. I always was facing obstacles with our moves, everything else. But it feels like as soon as I was in the right space, which was helping our military with, that suicide rate and mental health, everything started happening so easily. Even when one door closed, it was because a huge door opened. In terms of my inner resources, I have to have more faith in that process. It's a scary thing, and that's what they say in this book. Santiago becomes really frightened. He says his heart is frightened half the time. We're all afraid of change, but if we have faith, we persevere, we believe, we have that focus, determination, and we can do it. You just have to take a leap. I've done that several times now. It's scary, but it's worked every time so far.
Also because you're amazing. Well, I love that. I think it is brilliant, and it kind of leads me into sort of some of the next questions that I had. Sort of some things that we've been mulling about. One of the first major divisions in Santiago's journey was the theft of his money, right, which forced him into taking a menial job with the crystal merchant. And there, he learned a lot of lessons on everything from the art of business to the art of patience. Of all of these, okay, now, as for our book question, of all of these, what do you think were the most crucial to him, to the pursuit of his personal legend? And then, which lessons do you think are most crucial in yours? And I'd be interested also to hear some folks chime in and tell me what do you think has been the most crucial lesson, I think, that you have learned in the pursuit of your journey. So I'll let you go, Ingrid.
Sure. The lessons that stood out for me for Santiago, first of all, was to go beyond his comfort zone. Because he always had that pull to go back to Spain, back to that church, become a shepherd again. I have enough money, I'm just going to leave everything and go back, because, going forward is scary. Even though that's my dream and I know I have a treasure out there, I'm scared to do it. So for me, he learned there to go beyond his comfort zone, because he watched the merchant. He had always dreamt of going to Mecca, and he had finally made enough money to go. He still didn't. He was afraid. He's like, I know this place. I can settle here. This is enough. Even though he would say he felt in his heart that it wasn't enough. But he was too scared to move forward. So I think moving beyond your comfort zone, to not give up on your dream, even if you have setbacks. He had several. He was beat up and he was robbed. He was threatened. All kinds of things happened to him, but he just kept moving forward. So listening to your heart and following your heart, and knowing that your heart won't let you down. Because there are times when you think about it and you get a bad feeling about somebody or a situation, and usually it's right. You're right. Your instinct is right. And I would say that a lot of my own personal, beliefs are similar to Santiago's. That, that pursuit of your dream, that not giving up, that pushing through your fear. And honestly, just to be quiet and listen to the signs. Because sometimes we don't pay attention, and stuff keeps coming back to you, like opportunities, and you're like shoving them away, and they're coming to you for a reason. Pay attention to those. because I remember back in my early career that military stuff would come up and I didn't really pay a lot of attention. You know, it
Yeah.
was just a theme through my life, and I finally did, and it's been amazing.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love the idea of paying attention. I mean, that's such a huge thing. I'm like a big person that believes in science maybe a little bit too much. I get a little superstitious about them, but I'm always following signs like that. And I think I love that part was, oh, I've got some questions coming in too, or some stories coming in. Uh, and I'll share mine in a second. Let me read what I've got coming in here a second. Oh, I love this. I think this is from Lindsay. Lindsay shares that hers was getting married too. She was in the interview process with her dream agency, always wanted to work with a three-lettered government agency. And then when they found out I was marrying into DOD, they told me it wouldn't be a good fit because DOD doesn't work with DOJ. At the time, it seemed like a large sacrifice, but obviously it turned into a great marriage. I love that. I mean, I'm so grateful to hear that story. And that's very interesting because I didn't know that. And I'm just going to say that that's why when I have probably over the course of 4 years drunkenly applied to the FBI and the CIA, I'm going to use that as the reason why they did not call me back, that I was married to somebody in the DOD. Couldn't be any other reason at all. That's definitely it. That's definitely it. Okay, and then I've got another beautiful story coming in from Jen. I love this. Jen says, I think overall my initial dream was to be a teacher. Getting married at 21 and following my sailor all over the country, yeah, has made it extremely challenging to complete that degree. Oh my gosh, it is, and I've been there, and especially the licensing. It's been almost 20 years since I have graduated high school, and while there is no official degree in my hand, I have educated so many, both as an early education teacher, as well as throughout our military life, in being a newbie in the military and now being a seasoned veteran that still learns daily, but I can educate in a different way that I ever thought of. I wonder if this is Jen McDonald, actually. And if it is, I would know who wrote that. Yes. I don't know if this is what I think it is, but I did not know that was your dream. And maybe not. I love that. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about being a military spouse is, at least, and certainly, I mean, Ingrid, you talk about being able to mentor spouses and having that, and then just as a military spouse, having the ability to educate or mentor young spouses. And I know you do a lot of that, especially with your network. And I love that. But yeah. Okay, wait, hold on, let me make sure. Okay, awesome. All right. And for me, I'll just share really quickly, and I won't run on too much. I think my most important lesson, and I'm still learning, I love the idea of what Ingrid shared too, of listening to the signs and sometimes drowning out the noise, because I can be like, for a long time, and Ingrid would know this about me, was like really a people pleaser, and that's hard to do. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do when you've got a lot of people that want things that can really wear you out. And so that was probably, I don't know what you would call that, a strength, I think, that I didn't have. I think that's probably was one of my biggest lessons that I needed to learn on the pursuit. I have an anonymous coming in, and I love this one too. I didn't really have a dream, but living the military life has shaped the dream to help service members in one way or another. Love this. Maybe I resonate most with the symbol of gold, which denotes the time and knowledge spent with this culture to actually pay off in the end. If you can't beat them, join them, right? I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that so So true. Oh my gosh, so true. Um, let me ask, when we talked about, and keep those coming in because I love these and this is so exciting, so nice. And I agree, and I don't know, Ingrid, if you want to add anything on to any of that, feel free. You can tell me to stop talking. Um, when he talked about the pilgrimage to Mecca, the crystal merchant argued that having a dream is more important than fulfilling it. Um, Sort of interesting, which is what Santiago is trying to do. Do you agree that that just the concept of having, that's a good question. Do you think that the concept of having a dream is more important than fulfilling it? I think this is different personalities questions. Why or why not? And I want to hear answers from you guys too.
Yeah, this is a tough one, but for me, I think that it's more important to fulfill it because to have a dream that it's sort of impotent, it doesn't go anywhere, just to have that dream, I think it would leave you sort of longing for it, saddened by the fact that you've not fulfilled that dream or feeling somehow incomplete. So to me, it doesn't feel like just having a dream is enough,
Yeah.
but it could be a really good thing to have one. It keeps you motivated. But I think you have to take it that step further, like Santiago did, and try to go for that dream. Um, we're all always searching for a way to fill a void. Some people unfortunately use things like alcohol, drugs, other things to
Mm-hmm.
fill that void. And I think that if you fulfill that dream, um, it could make such a huge difference because I know for me in my dream of helping in the military, it's definitely lifted me as a person up a lot more. My mood, my drive, almost like when you exercise or do things like that make you feel better about you. Fulfilling those dreams can really move you forward, propel you forward. So it's a tough one. I would agree with Santiago's rationale, but I can understand why the crystal merchant felt that way. He was older, he was established, he had been doing that for 30 years, he said. So for
Yeah.
him, just having that dream made him happy, and that was enough. So it really depends on the person.
I agree with you. I think it depends on the person. I mean, I think for me, you have to. It's like I'd have to do both. Like I need to have that dream because it's always like having. It's almost like having a goal to work forward to.
Hmm.
I remember when I was like I don't know, 20, early 20s, and dating some guy that God only knows what happened to him. But I remember he used to call me Kate in my 10-year plans because I would always have these 10-year plans that I was going to do these big things. But if I didn't achieve them, and sometimes your dreams change, right? Like your dreams, what you think was your dream, it turns out is something entirely different. Um, but I think it's important to like have both. I think it's important to have a dream and then like almost like when you accomplish it, to have another one. And I have a wonderful comment coming in from Tammy, who I think might be my favorite. Tammy here.
Oh, yay.
Um, yeah. And I didn't know this, but she says that she lived in Andalusia for 2+ years. Hello, that's
Nice.
awesome. Yeah, she says she read it before and after she lived there, and she chimes in and says, "I think it's important to allow ourselves to dream." I love
Hmm.
that. As adults and as military spouses, this is so true. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to do so. Identifying steps toward achieving the dream can be steps to get there, even though we may not see a dream come to reality in the time frame we can identify. And I think that's really true. I think that hits the nail on the head.
Absolutely.
I think it's actually probably one of the biggest challenges that we see in the military spouse community as far as on many different levels. And Ingrid, you can certainly speak to this far better than I can too, but um, um, when you don't allow yourself to have that ability to dream, which I think military spouses can do
Mhm.
because we've got so many things on our plates that finding the time to even come back to that. I mean, it's actually something that I've been talking about recently, and I talked to Lindsay Bradford about recently, which is making sure that the importance of military spouses having that identity, that crucial identity. And I think part of going along with that is having those goals or dreams, and remembering that. I mean, I think as military spouses, and then later as as life moves forward, you go through the roteness of life. So much of our lives are determined by our spouse's military careers. You get kind of caught up in the idea of pushing his or her career forward, simply because you have to. And so I think that's very true. So anyway, yes, I think kind of we're all feeling the same way, that having the dream is important. And I also think achieving that dream is important to everything. And then Jen says, I think it's important to always have a dream, but it's important to accomplish it too. However, if you don't have a dream you're working towards, how are you to make progress and improve? So for me, you kind of have to have both. I totally agree, Jen. I feel the exact same way, and I think, yeah, it's like you can't have one without the other. I don't know what you would do once you achieved it. I mean, I don't know what that would look like. Some people have done it. I don't know what that would look like. I mean, what happens when you achieve all your dreams? Maybe you just relax. Maybe I need to figure that out.
I think you come up with more.
I think you do.
I think you do. And I think what you said was important too, that dreams change. They do. And that's okay.
They do. I mean, and I will go on to the next question, but I remember I had all these dreams of I was going to be this television producer, and, I thought I would have kids, right, someday. I mean, I literally thought, I'll have kids when I'm like 60. I didn't really think a lot. And, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, no big. But then all of a sudden I found myself pregnant, and it was awesome. It wasn't something that I had on my radar at all. It wasn't something that I had planned. I was never the kid that planned that out, and it's been this wonderful dream I didn't know that I would have. So anyway, but who knows? Everyone to each their own. Okay, all right. Let me keep moving so I don't whatever. Okay, here's another question. The alchemist tells Santiago, you don't have to understand the desert. All you have to do is contemplate a simple grain of sand. I love this line, by the way. And you will see in it all the marvels of creation. With this in mind, why do you think the alchemist chose to befriend Santiago, though he knew that the Englishman was the one looking for him? So at one point in the alchemist explains to Santiago the secret of successfully turning metal into gold. How does this process compare to finding like a personal legend?
I believe, after having read the book, that he decided to befriend Santiago because he was ready. He was ready. He was seeing the signs. He was following his heart. He had that dream. The Englishman just wanted, it was more of a process for him. He wanted to learn how to turn, metal into gold. So he wanted to find the alchemist for that one purpose. It wasn't about a dream. It just felt like he was after knowledge, but not necessarily a dream. He didn't quite know exactly what he wanted yet. Whereas Santiago was very clear, and he led with his heart. I think that if you speak from your heart and your passion comes through, it can make a real impact. And I think that that's what happened between him and the alchemist. Because when they first met, he didn't even know who the alchemist was. Right. And he just asked him, why did you, why are you speaking to the hawks? Because there was 2 hawks that he had. And how do you know that this is going to happen? He's like, because I felt it in my heart. So there was that passion, that connection. And I think that that's how he then, felt like, okay, this is the person that I need to mentor right now. Maybe the Englishman in the future, but he's not ready yet. What was the other part of the question? Sorry, let me see.
Yes. Okay.
Find my personal legend.
Yeah, like it talks about turning metal into gold. How does this process?
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that the alchemist discussed about turning metal into gold was that it was more about being able to share that experience versus something about wealth. Because if it's just about turning everything into gold to become wealthy, That's very different than the process of knowing that incredible skill of turning something that there's no way on earth you would make that turn into something as beautiful as gold. That whole process and the experience of doing that is what he was after, not the riches, not, oh, I can make gold all over my house and be wealthy. He could have been wealthy, but that's not what he was after. So for me, what that meant in finding my own personal legend is to enjoy the experience, to live in the moment, to not give up, and to keep going forward, even if you've got obstacle after obstacle.
Mm, yeah, I love that. Actually, do you know, is there anything that you could say where you were going forward and you were, I mean, we've kind of discussed this, but there were a number of obstacles. Actually, I've got somebody coming in and saying, I love this. Our personal legend is something that only we as individuals are called for to explore and give to this world. How do we truly know that is what we are truly supposed to be doing? What does it feel like? I
Well,
love that.
yeah, wow. I mean, for me, honestly,
Yeah.
I've never been happier than now that I'm actually in my zone, in my dream, which is working with the mental health needs of our military. It just fills me. I don't know how else to describe it other than I am completely happy. I feel like even if other things go wrong in my life, I have that sort of fall back on. Um, it's a purpose. And when you're walking in your purpose, you just feel so fulfilled. Um,
Yes.
that's really how I feel now. And it took me so many years to get here, but it's definitely worth the journey. And it's not easy, but like I said, doors just open and kind of push you in that direction when you're doing the right thing for you. Um, and I feel like that's where I am at right now in my world. I'm not, at the plateau yet, but I'm climbing that mountain and I'm getting right there. And it's a great feeling when you can see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't know how you know. I mean, I think um, for me, it's kind of similar to you. I feel like if you go to bed and you feel like you've helped somebody, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
um, that would be my answer. I don't know if anybody else has an answer. I mean, I um, I think one of the challenges for me in my life was when I was maybe doing work that I didn't feel was helping anybody. So I was doing work and people were maybe enjoying the product that I was producing, but I mean, I guess you could say, well, maybe that was helping somebody, whatever. But when you can directly help somebody, um, that to me is how I feel like that's how I at least know that I'm on the right course. But I don't think I know exactly what my course is 100% yet. I think I'm still learning what that is in a way, trying to figure it out, I guess. And so anyway, yeah, I love that. I think the world is so lucky to have you in it, especially as you have this great um, sort of idea and all the stuff that you're helping. Oh, wait, I just got to make sure I'm reading this. Um, oh, okay. Oh, Tammy. Oh my gosh. Tammy says she just finished a certification as a purpose clarity coach. That is so cool. And it's described as your heart magnet. Yay! And
Yeah.
it's described as your heart magnet. That is fabulous. The physical sensation you get when you're drawn towards something or someone that you repel. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's a bit different than intuition. Tammy, if you can hear me, if you have any ability to describe that more, I would love to hear that. Okay, it's about peace and harmony. You can be in the midst of noise and negativity and distraction, but still feel calm in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
sounds like
beautiful.
that is beautiful. That sounds like something I think everyone
We should aspire to that. Yeah.
I know. Wow, Tammy, that is so cool. That is really, really cool, and I love that. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm interested to know more about the physical sensation you get when you're drawn towards something or someone or something that you repel. It's a bit different than nature. That's very interesting. Okay, I love that, Tammy. I'm going to look that up too. Um, certainly a good skill for people to have, especially so many of us who are so busy, and anybody. I mean, I think life is so life today is so full of distractions, especially right now. But with the internet and the news, it's like a 24/7 schedule. It's something like that to be able to kind of find that calm. Oh, what a skill that would be to have. I do not possess that, but I would like to possess that. Um, Okay, let me ask you this question. Why did Santiago have to go through the, oh, this is a good one. Why did Santiago have to go through the dangers of tribal wars on the outskirts of the oasis in order to reach the pyramids? So at the very end of the journey, why did the alchemist leave Santiago alone to complete it?
I think that, when he was attacked and he was robbed, it mirrors the trials and tribulations and the difficulties that we all face in life. Life isn't easy. Even in the best of circumstances, it's not easy. We're always going to face some sort of a difficulty. And I feel like that pyramids represented his goals and dreams, his treasure. And they're not always easy, but they're always worth it. And so I think that he might not have appreciated it as much had it been easy. That's, it kind of stinks to say that, but I think that, uh, because it was hard, because he had to sort of go through all those things, take, 5 steps forward and 10 back, and then
Yeah.
keep going again. He learned so much about himself, about his strength, about, his heart, about his dream, that it was always going to be worth it. And I think that journey was important, and so that's why all that negative stuff had to occur. And in terms of why the alchemist left him alone, if you
Mm-hmm.
think about our own journey, we're really journeying alone. We have support along the way, but the decisions are ours and ours alone. And we're the ones that decide, all right, I'm going to move forward, or I'm going to give up and just kind of stay where I am. Life forces situations and people help or hinder, but in the end, it's on us. We're really alone when it comes to what we're going to do, how we're going to move forward towards our dream or not. And I think that that's sort of the symbolism of the alchemist, really guiding him almost to that point, but letting him then go on the rest of the way on his own. Because also we need to feel like we've done it for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves,
Yeah.
that sense of fulfillment.
Do you think that, and please chime in too in the audience too, because I bet everyone will have some good answers on this. I'll kind of answer and ask you, Ingrid, too. Do you think that people learn better through trials than anything else? Like, for example, I'm a Midwesterner, grew up in Chicago, and it's great in the summer, it's hot, right? But it can be freezing in the winter, and you're out there shoveling and you're whatever. So this is like a very a mini thing, but we always say it builds character, and I have found and when we go through something, right, in our way to kind of find the silver lining, we say, well, it was a learning experience. I have found that me personally, I don't know why this is, because I don't think it has to be, but I tend to feel like I learn best through trial. Do you think that people tend to learn best when they are put to the test? Or do you think it's possible to achieve a point where you don't necessarily have to be put to a test? I know it's kind of an off-the-cuff question, but I don't know, Ingrid, what do you think? Do you think people learn more when they have to go through trials like that?
I think that you do. You learn a lot more about what you're capable of, where your strengths are,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. You learn about how to, keep going. And I think
Yeah.
that trials do that. You don't need, a really harsh trial, but we all need something to keep us moving. Because think about like when everything's going easy, you're not even thinking about it. You're not in the moment with it. You're not feeling it. Um, if it goes well, you're like, okay, cool, but you don't really
Right.
learn anything from it. And that's very different than when you had to work towards it. That's why our parents were always, make you do chores and all kinds of things like that. Now everybody gets a trophy for participation. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean as much.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And Lindsay even chimed in and she said, it sounds like he needed to do it on his own and gain that personal trust in himself. Right? Like,
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. And I think that's probably true of all of us. I mean, there are times when I throw, pity parties. I try not to, but, because you're like, I got to do this on my own again. But I think sometimes you have to do that. You just have to. Otherwise, you don't know what your strengths are. I mean, absolutely.
As military spouses with all the deployments, and we have to single parent so
Mm-hmm.
much, or just single person so much, do everything on your own, that I think it's made us military spouses, fierce.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I mean, I guess we have to be. Oh, Jen is chiming in too. Oh, awesome, Jen. I think it's because we are forced to really pay attention to those around us, to our intuition. Oh, I love this. To the choices in front of us and what we can do. So we're not just idly getting by. We're at the forefront of change. I love that. It's like
Absolutely.
a hyper focus. You're
Yep.
forced to hyper focus, at least, or I don't know if it's hyper focus, but you put on those blinders and you have to concentrate, and you get
Hmm.
more from it then. I think absolutely, absolutely, Jen. I totally agree with you. Um, and we're moving on to, and because I won't keep all of us too long. I know we only have an hour, and so here's the last question that we've kind of come up with, and then we can kind of open up the floor. Earlier in the story, the alchemist told Santiago, "When you possess great treasures within you and try to tell others of them, seldom are you believed." True, and for good reason sometimes. At the end of the story, how did this simple lesson save Santiago's life? How did it lead him back to the treasure he was looking for?
I think that's true. When you talk about something that you're capable of doing, most people are naysayers. Most people don't believe you. They just kind of blow it off or laugh it off or just ignore. In his case, it saved his life because those thieves at the very end, when he had made it to the pyramids and he was alone, they were like, they found the gold that he was given, but he was digging a hole thinking that he was going to find the treasure there. And he told them the truth. There's a treasure here. I had a dream. And then one of the thieves, said, I've had dreams too. I dreamt of that church and the sycamore tree, and that's where the treasure is. And that's how we found out that where he was at the very beginning of the book, in that
Yes.
church with his sheep, is where the treasure is. It was a big treasure of like Spanish gold and jewels and all this stuff, which was exactly where he started. But he would not have known that had he not have continued to follow through with the dream and been honest about, his himself, about what was going on for him, which was, I'm following my dream. There's supposed to be a treasure here, and I can't find it. And that's when the thief said, "Oh, I had a dream, and it's silly, and I don't believe you. Let's move on," because he's pretty much a loser, and leave him alone. So they left him. They didn't kill him, and he was able to then, get better, go back to a monk that had some gold for him that the alchemist had left, probably knowing something was going to happen to him. And then he went back to that church, dug up the gold, and went to find the girl.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was the end of the story. Quite a twist. Quite a
Quite
twist.
a
Back
twist.
to the beginning.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have an anonymous
Yeah.
question here. This is good. Okay, if we equated that to military life, explaining our expertise and such, how is it that we can help others with that expertise and actually believed, as it were, in order to allow others to benefit from that? I don't know if you got that. Ingrid. Let me
Mm-hmm.
copy and paste this so you
Yep.
can see it. Are you able to see my little chat box?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
If we equated that to military life,
I think this is important because a lot of what we do as spouses, the volunteer work we do, for me, my military spouse behavioral health clinicians, I've been doing that for 4 years. Um, and it took me 4 years for anyone to listen to me,
mm-hmm.
even though I've been doing this for a long time. Honestly, it just takes perseverance. In that situation, it was a one shot where he was talking to somebody and then they blew him off. If they blow you off, keep coming back. When they see that you're persevering, that this is important to you, that you know what you're talking about, they'll pay attention. And I think that that's really the best way, to be believed, as it were. And then, once
Yeah.
you are believed, you can move and start actually, moving and shaking things, making changes. It takes time. Like I said, it took me 4 years. Yeah, for anyone to listen to me about military spouse clinicians and what's going on with them. So just keep moving, keep talking, keep telling people, that, hey, I know about this. And if they don't listen, talk to somebody else, someone who will.
Love that. I love that. Does anyone have any examples? I don't know if anybody's, let me go back over to my chat box of where you've kind of, it looks like I'm getting something in. Hold on one second. Okay, so I think we're good on questions. So if anybody has any additional questions, feel free. We've got a couple minutes left. I know we have a little bit of a wrap up. Ingrid, is there anything that you'd like to share as we kind of wrap up before I go to over to MJ, or any additional questions that anybody wants to share or stories? I'll kind of open it up. Ingrid, if you want to.
I would just really encourage everyone to, um, pursue your dreams. I know it's hard as a military spouse. Our dreams are not linear. Um, we, we have to make choices and we have to, sort of start again a lot. But, search for that personal legend. Search for what fills you up. It doesn't have to be a career choice. It could be being a parent or volunteering or being like a long distance runner, doing the Boston Marathon. Whatever it is that fills you up, find it. God, your relationship with God, and writing a book. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. There are people that will support you through it. Because when you really live in your dream and you talk with passion, people listen. They pay attention. And the right people come into your life to support your dream. And I mean, I've been fortunate that that happened for me. But it really takes, I'm an introvert, believe it or not. It's really hard for me. But, being able to just let people know that, wow, this is my passion. This is what I care about. You'll find like-minded people, people who will support you, support your dream. And yeah, go for it. That's all I can say is just go for it.
I love that. I think that is the most perfect wrap up. You're the most amazing, and I love you. And that was spectacular. I'm going to shoot it over to MJ because I know she's got some closing words that she wants to share with you guys.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Kate. Okay. So thank you so much for coming to the conversation and joining us tonight. We so absolutely look forward to seeing you all next month. We are now going to announce April's book in a follow-up email, but the winner of the free book for next month's book club is Meryl C. Woo!
Yay!
Okay.
Yay!
So Meryl, you'll be getting more information on how to share that your information with us in your chat box. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and close it out and say thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be getting with you soon about the next book. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much, and I will thank you to everyone that was on, and I will probably talk to all of you guys soon. So feel free to send me emails or any of us emails and let me know what you thought and how we could keep doing it in the future. And I wish I could find a way to get like people to like be able to mic in and stuff. I don't know how that works, but anyway, thank you everyone. So I will let I'll say thank you. And I think that's it. I don't know how we end it now, but yay! I think we need a theme song or something like that. But thank you all for joining us, and I will talk to all of you guys soon. And I'll click.